There's a beautiful girl from Seoul on the island. In order to get along with the sea women, she always takes the initiative to prepare seasickness pills just to catch more abalone at sea. Lisa warmly greeted the captain in the distance, but the man was so indifferent. In the face of the girl's wink, he hurriedly turned his eyes away. In the next moment, Lisa, who was overwhelmed, waved her hand even more enthusiastically to the other captain. The other captain also responded to Lisa with great enthusiasm. Seeing this, the captain, who had just been so cool, became jealous. He even took the initiative to ask his brother what would happen if he fell in love with Lisa. Looking at the big city Lisa character and so unrestrained, the younger brother advised his brother to give up the idea before it's too late. Jim was curious about Lisa's past, but he doesn't dare to show his feelings. Today is the day of the sea women's fishing day. Lisa is the first to jump into the sea where there are many abalones. Grandma chased away Lisa, who was right behind her. Isa had to change her direction, soon found an abalone. After a small harvest, Lisa continued to dive into the sea to look for trophies. Everyone on the island ostracizes her. Only the aunt liked her and they became best friends. Jim would come to Lisa's tavern every night, and when he watched Lisa's face light up with excitement, and he couldn't help but feel happy inside. But in his heart, he was curious about this girl from Seoul. That night, he came to Lisa's pub as usual, but saw her chatting with a greasy man, so he asked her if she was still open. The greasy man said he would close for Lisa, but he was actually telling Jim to leave. So Jim sat down and declared his sovereignty. The greasy man lost interest and left without paying the bill. Then Jim happily cleaned up the table. Jim, however, domineeringly said that the decision was his. At this time, Lisa received a message that said, "I miss you so much." When she saw the message, Lisa looked sad and left without looking back, leaving Jim in a daze. Back home, Lisa just took a shower and received many messages on her cell phone. Looked at the other party, sent a number of "I miss you" message. Lisa told him to wait. She will definitely visit him next month. The cell phone kept vibrating, but Lisa's heart was very irritated, so she picked up her cell phone to check the messages again. The other party again asked when next month. Lisa thought for a while and replied the second Saturday of next month, but the other party kept sending messages looking at the words "bad woman." Lisa broke down and threw the phone on the bed. The next day, she went to the market and sold fish with the lady, and at night, she continued to run her own bistro. This time the phone rang again. Lisa avoided the staff and went outside to answer the phone. Jim happened to see Lisa talking on the phone while he was blowing in the wind, so he followed her quietly and curiously. And when he found Jim, Lisa subconsciously hid further away. Looking at the beloved girl deliberately in his distance, Jim's heart was lost. The boy froze in his tracks when he saw his girlfriend's sister. Just yesterday, Lisa learned that her sister was coming to visit her, but she was reluctant to do so because as soon as her sister, who has Down syndrome, showed up, her life that she had worked so hard for would be completely ruined. But what Lisa didn't know that her sister had already learned to clean, even under the guidance of the orphanage teachers. She started working part-time as a cashier at a cafe and learned how to socialize. Though she was slow and often made mistakes, customers would always wait patiently for her to settle their bills. In her spare time, she would take photos and share them with her sister Lisa, to show her sister that she's not a burden. And today is the day Lisa promised to visit her. But Lisa once again said she was busy with work and postponed it until next month. Sister got into a cab alone and decided to look for her sister. The driver asked her where she was going. She said she was going to her sister's house in Jeju Island. The kind driver had to take Lisa to the police station. When the dean arrived in a hurry, she was quietly knitting a scarf. Since the orphanage needs to be renovated, everyone had to go home temporarily for a week. Lisa subconsciously started to find excuses to get out of it. She even asked the director's mother to take care of her sister. The director knew what Lisa was worried about, so she told her about her sister's situation. Upset, Lisa immediately drank a glass of ice water to calm her nerves. At that moment, Jim sent her a video to share with her the room he had prepared for the wedding. At this moment, Lisa's heart was full of mixed feelings. She watched the video over and over again. She didn't want to live such a humiliating life. The next day when she went sailing, Lisa broke up with her boyfriend Jim. Jim stopped Lisa's car on the road. He didn't understand that his girlfriend, who was so passionate last night, had become so cold today. Lisa didn't explain. She just said, "If you want to know the truth, come with her, but be careful. You might get hurt." Jim kicked his brother out of the car and chased after her alone. Lisa went to the airport and saw her sister after a long time. They greeted each other in the most familiar way. After a long search, Jim finally found Lisa. He grabbed Lisa and wanted to know the reason for the breakup. Seeing that her boyfriend was pestering her, Lisa introduced her sick sister to him. Seeing that his boyfriend was scared by his sister, he didn't know what to do, but Lisa had already seen it before. Lisa asked Jim to look up the disease on the internet. Then she drove her sister away. At this moment, Jim already had an answer in his mind. Lisa took her sister back to the village. Everyone was cleaning up the seafood at the entrance of the village. When Lisa came back with a strange girl, they were shocked by this scene. Lisa was used to this kind of surprise. Soon everyone got over the shock. The woman at the convenience store began to gossip about Lisa and how her parents were painters and her sister looked like this. Everyone chased the gossiping woman away. The fat lady told the girl that her grandson girlfriend was autistic, but she wasn't ashamed at all. Sister sees everyone eating ice creams and craves them so much that she can't go anywhere. Auntie took out her spare change to buy ice lollies for her sister. The cheerful sister volunteered to help the amas clean the seafood and did a good job of it. Everyone praised her. The woman buys ice cream for her sister. Jim arrived at that moment and went straight to Boy accidentally learns that his girlfriend has a sister with Down syndrome. He froze in his tracks, but soon after he reacted. Jim chased him to the fishing village and solemnly introduced himself to his sister. The aunt took the initiative to break the awkward atmosphere and Lisa decided to tell Jim everything. Jim didn't understand why they broke up. Obviously, they were in love with each other and were even about to get married. Lisa mercilessly said that she was tired of this relationship. Jim stopped Lisa and tried to keep her. If she felt pressured to get married, then he could never mention it again. And he could never see his parents again. He knew he had hurt Lisa with his behavior because he hadn't learned anything at home or at school. How to react to people with disabilities. He didn't know how to communicate with them. Jim promised that he wouldn't make the same mistake next time and hoped that Lisa wouldn't break up with him. Lisa's eyes became red. She tried to hold back her tears. Lisa finally told Jim what she was worried about. Her parents died in a car accident when she was 12 years old, which meant that she would have to raise her sister for the rest of her life. Lisa was surprised by Jim's openness because all her boyfriends were like Jim, but they all left her when they saw her physically and mentally challenged sister. Some of them even pretended to tolerate Lisa in order to get her, but in the end, they were still fed up with the two sisters. That's why she tried so hard to hide Lisa from Jim this time. Lisa was naive enough to think that the truth would be enough to put Jim off. Jim vowed to show Lisa his true heart. He held Lisa's hand tightly and never let Lisa face these problems alone again. He was going to be Lisa's support and hold up the sky for the two of them. Jim held Lisa's hand even tighter. At this moment, Lisa's heart was completely warmed by Jim. She took care of her sister's food and shelter, gently blow-dried her hair and carefully applied medicine to her. Lisa hoped that her sister wouldn't hate Jim anymore. Although she was scared when she first met him, he was actually a very nice person. The two sisters were soon playing and joking around. Soon my sister got used to the new environment. She played games with everyone, but she had her moments. Everyone watched nervously as Jim pulled out the blocks. When it was finally the aunt's turn, Sis played a trick and blew the blocks down with one breath. This cozy atmosphere also made Lisa feel happy, which she hadn't felt for a long time. This girl is strange. She's in love, but not married. It's not that she doesn't want to. It's that all the boyfriends she's been with have eventually dumped her because she has a twin sister with Down syndrome. So Lisa was afraid that Jim would abandon her too. But when she found out the truth, Jim not only didn't dislike her, but even took the initiative to take care of her sister and play games with her. Everyone in the small fishing village has had a hard life. They all loved their sister as if she were their own. It's because they've been through hardship that they know how to hold an umbrella for others. They watched the stars with her and patiently taught her how to recognize different stars, in order not to make her feel differently about her handicap. Lisa even agreed to let her drink for the first time. They raised their glasses together to celebrate this happy moment. Not only did she teach them a dance she had learned herself, but she also took photos of them and wanted to draw a portrait of them before she left. Lisa, however, thought that her sick sister could not draw at all and that her behavior was unreasonable, so she took away her cell phone. This caused her to explode. When she heard this, Lisa froze and didn't realize that her sister remembered that she had abandoned her. In order to ease the embarrassment, Jim picked up his sister's broken cell phone and said it was time to buy a new one. The party was originally a happy one, but it ended badly. But her sister is still only 7 years old. In the evening, the two sisters made up again. Lisa wanted to see her drawings, but she went to bed with her drawing board and said she wouldn't show it to her. Late at night, when Lisa was asleep, she secretly drew her sleeping sister. When she got sleepy, she lay down on the floor to rest. The next morning, Lisa went fishing as usual. She waited for her sister in the village. The sea women also made fun of the two sisters. It was the first time Lisa felt like she really fit in. Meanwhile, her brother approached Jim and asked him to break up with Lisa. It turned out that the younger brother was not in love with the sea maiden, but his hearing-impaired sister. This also made Jim completely dumbfounded. Then he told his brother not to worry. That day, Jim bought his sister a new cell phone and brought her to drink beer. During the time, she kept knitting a scarf. Jim jokingly said to give it to him. Jim's eyes were full of love when he saw such a lovely sister. Sister used her new cell phone to take pictures of everyone in the fishing village. She decided to give them all a portrait before she left. Everyone was happy to cooperate with her, but Lisa told the ladies not to get their hopes up. She doesn't know how to paint and is just playing around. But the ladies brought out pictures of their families and said it's okay if she can't draw well. Just let her draw. Finally, she took a couple photo of Jim and Lisa. They took the opportunity to show their love for each other. Jim also took out his cell phone to take a picture of the two sisters. Lisa watched Jim patiently taking care of her sister. She was happy and scared at the same time, because she didn't know how long Jim could last. But her brother approached the girl again to confess his love. The girl wondered what he liked about her. She couldn't even tell him what he liked about her, but her brother liked everything about her. Meanwhile, her sister saw her sister's lonely back and filmed it. She was curious and asked Lisa why she didn't go to play. Lisa told her not to think too much, but looking at her sister's back. But her sister's heart was full of self-love. Girl takes twin sister and boyfriend out for Western food. Lisa carefully wiped the food residue on the mouth of her sister, who was only 7 years old in mind. Jim was touched by this scene. He was even more convinced that Lisa was the right girl for him. Seeing his favorite steak on the table, her sister cheered happily. Lisa was afraid of disturbing the other diners and reminded her to keep quiet, but the neighboring table still cast unfriendly glances. The considerate Jim offered his own steak to his sister. Unexpectedly, this attracted the attention of the little boy across the table. He made a face at his sister. Angry sister told the boy to stop staring at her, but the boy was naughty and talked like his sister. He even laughed at his sister for being an idiot. Jim warned the boy not to do that, but he didn't listen to his mom and continued to do what he was doing. He continued to eat like his sister. Lisa couldn't stand it any longer, so she reminded the other parents to teach their children that he was making fun of my sister. Then she sat down next to Jim and tried to block the boy's view, but the mom across the table suddenly shouted. The boy got angry and ran out of the restaurant. The mom complained. Lisa tried to suppress her anger. At that moment, her sister asked to go to the bathroom and refused Lisa's help and decided to go alone. As she passed the boy's parents, they gave her a look of disgust and disdain. The father is again upset. The woman says she's only asking them to discipline their child and they're getting sick of it. The boy's mother says she's already scolded the boy and taught him not to make fun of the mentally and physically challenged. But Lisa got even angrier. At this point, the boy's father gets angry and tries to start a fight. Jim, who was a strong boyfriend, immediately stepped in front of him. The waiter of the restaurant rushed over to persuade both parties to calm down. This little incident also affected the other customers' meals. Lisa had to apologize to the other customers, because this was not the first time she encountered such a situation. She had to have a drink to calm down. Meanwhile, the boy went back to the restaurant to look for his parents and ran into his sister. He was so scared that he fell on the floor and looked at his sister. The sister plucked up the courage to ask the boy if he liked me staring at him. Then she held out her hand to pull him up and even patted the boy's body and patiently taught him that it's not polite to laugh at the physically and mentally challenged and keep staring at others. Otherwise, he would be criticized by his parents. Sister walked home with a heavy heart. Jim held his sister's hand and followed her silently. When she crossed the street, Lisa didn't even realize the light was red, but her sister reminded her to wait for the green light to cross the street. As she was walking, her sister suddenly said she wasn't going home. When she heard this, Lisa exploded and told her to fly back to the care facility on time tomorrow. Then she turned around and left angrily, leaving behind a bewildered Jim and a sullen sister. At night, my sister covered her head and drew outside the house. She didn't dare enter the house for fear of upsetting her sister again. Inside, Jim asked Lisa why she couldn't stay a few more days. He wanted to take her on a trip, but he was confronted by his girlfriend who asked him if he thought he could take care of his sister for the rest of his life just because he took care of her for a week, because he was afraid of misunderstanding. So he asked him not to be too nice to her. He got kicked out of a restaurant for pulling her hair out and knocking over the table. But I understand, because we don't see many people like her. That's why they stared at her. That's why people with disabilities like her don't show up on the street. It's because their families sent her to a care facility, just as they did. For the first time, Lisa revealed her feelings to others. Jim took Lisa in his arms and comforted her. The girl went to meet her future in-laws for the first time and was so nervous on the way there that she couldn't even breathe. After arriving at her destination, Lisa greeted her future in-laws with a warm bow. Jim also took the initiative to introduce his girlfriend, but her boyfriend's parents just looked at her from afar and didn't respond or even smile. Lisa immediately felt that Jim's parents must have disliked her background, because not only are her parents dead, but she also has a sister with Down syndrome to take care of. Lisa had already made a deal with Jim before we left. Jim was adamant that even if mom and dad didn't approve of their relationship, he had no qualms about being with Lisa. And just now her boyfriend's parents ignored her for the first time. After entering the house, Jim's father was reading the newspaper in his room. The younger brother senses that the atmosphere in the house is not right and mom is not in a good mood either. Lisa saw her aunt cooking in the kitchen and offered to help, but Jim's mom refused. Instead, she called her son to help. Finally, it's time to eat. His younger brother couldn't stand the atmosphere anymore and started to ask his parents why they called him over, but didn't even say a word. Dad took the initiative to break the awkward atmosphere and asked everyone to eat first, but mom still didn't respond. She looked so serious as if something was troubling her. Jim finally couldn't help himself and was about to question mom, but Lisa stopped him in time. Suddenly, mom put the skinned chicken leg into Lisa's bowl and gave it to her. Everyone was stunned. It turned out that the reason why Jim's mom had been ignoring Lisa was because she was worried that if she talked to her tears would flow uncontrollably. Jim was so happy to see this. His father told his son to be nice to Lisa. Lisa looked at Jim's mom with gratitude, but mom kept putting food into Lisa's bowl and told her not to be nervous and to sit comfortably. Hearing this, Lisa finally let go of her worries and concerns. She tasted her mom's cooking, which she hadn't eaten in years. At this moment, Jim also decided to be doubly kind to Lisa in the future. Since her parents' death in a car accident, Lisa has been supporting her mentally and physically challenged sister on her own, and no one cares about her anymore. The recognition of her boyfriend's family made her feel the warmth of a family again.